First up, we are going to talk about Kraven the Hunter, which is the new film and possibly the last in Sony's sort of Spider-Man adjacent universe. It's directed by JC Chandor, who's previously made excellent films like All Is Lost and Margin Call, and it stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson, could he be the next Bond, as a man with superhuman hunting powers. Let's talk about Kraven the Hunter, because I think this is going to be one of the worst films that we watched this year, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it straight away.
Well, now you mentioned he may be a future Bond,
yes,
and there's the hot air of oh yes, this hip. He played John Lennon, and I guess he was good at that, and he's in everything, and I guess people liked that. I wonder if you can tell where I'm going with this. And he's in Kraven the Hunter, a big IP. Well, not really, and he's dreadful in it. I hated this film. I absolutely loathed it. And I mean, to the point where I have seen the first Venom. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch the others because I didn't need to. First Venom got more hate than it deserved. I think it's a bad film. It got lambasted, but they were interesting. Tom Hardy was doing something interesting. Good? Yeah. Maybe that's a word I wouldn't say. Interesting, definitely. I saw Morbius.
Wow.
And that film is badly made. It's just a filmmaker's nightmare. I saw Madam Web.
Okay.
And Madam Web is absolutely... that film doesn't exist. It's like a fart in the wind. And then I saw this film, and I was like, well, I've gone this far in the Sony universe. And Sony have made some great Spider-Man films. The Raimi trilogy, even the third one, when you watch it in context, has a much better understanding of the character. And of course, you have the best Spider-Man media. Probably. I prefer Spider-Man 2 and the Raimi Spider-Man. However, I understand that Spider-Verse is, without a doubt, the best version of Spider-Man we've seen on screen. And I stick to it. These films do not work when you're trying to make these villains the heroes of their own terrible, terrible, terrible stories that... Oh my God, I'm lost for words, viewers, because this is a barbaric film in every aspect of it. It's filmed okay, it's filmed competently well, but it's not interesting. It's just coverage, it's just action scenes, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe does his typical crap action, his terrible, just garbled mess of he did the same for Thor, Love and Thunder. He did that Pope's Exorcist film. And, we've seen him in a great film that we've talked about in Cinema Spotlight.
Yeah.
This brilliant he is a brilliant actor, and he's just giving this stereotypical, awful performance. And he talked a lot about the script of Gladiator, saying, I'm the best actor in the world. I can make anything good. He didn't make this good. He didn't make this good at all. Terrible. Everyone's bad. Aaron Taylor-Johnson has anti-charisma.
He's Cockney. He's confusingly.
He's half American, and then they're Russian, but they don't speak Russian with a Russian dad, and it just makes no sense. This film is an origin story for Kraven the Hunter, some people's favorite Spider-Man villain. I love Spider-Man. I love the character. And same with Batman. I think these films of just the villains don't work without that character, because you need them to have a reason to exist. Kraven the Hunter is a villain, and he's portrayed as, well, nothing, really. I don't know if you saw a character in this mess of a film. And I'm just, verbal diarrhea now, because I sat in the cinema, I was bored to tears. And when I was muttering some expletives under my breath when it had ended about how bad the film was, someone laughed on the way out, because I think they agreed. Now, I can talk about every aspect of this film, but first, Reuben, please tell me, what's your opinion?
Okay, so I watched this at 9 a.m, first thing, and I thought, okay, listen, I really do rate the director, JC Chandor. He is a fantastic director. Margin Call somehow makes the 2008 financial crash unbelievably tense and thrilling. And then All Is Lost is Robert Redford lost at sea on a raft. And he's the only actor in it for the entire runtime. I think it's got one sentence in it. It is brilliant, brilliant filmmaking. And for me, it's just depressing to see talent like him coming over and just making something that's just, a bit of corporate IP, basically. It's utterly lifeless. And I sat there watching this just completely uninspired bit of filmmaking, which incidentally begins with homage to The Hunt for Red October in a way that I thought was just made me want to be watching The Hunt for Red October, because I love that film. And I just started to feel my eyelids drooping because I felt no connection with the characters. I didn't care about the kind of already, like, it gets convoluted very early on. The accents, as you say, are completely preposterous. There's just nothing going for this film at all. The effects are shoddy. The way in which Aaron Taylor-Johnson moves around in the action scenes is all CG augmented, and it looks completely fake. It looks like when you see Halle Berry in that film.
It looks very rubbery.
Completely. And I just couldn't get remotely into the film. We talked about Red One a few weeks ago, and the only thing we could say that was nice about Red One was that it has really good character design. There isn't even that to redeem Kraven the Hunter. There is an awful villain. I'm going to spoil it. It's Rhino, right? The Spider-Man villain, Rhino. Yeah. And the way that they have designed this villain is completely... It's just pants. The whole film is pants. It's like everyone on set took some kind of weird accent pill, because Aaron Taylor-Johnson is alternating seemingly just at random between Cockney and a little bit American, a little bit Matthew McConaughey.
And then a bad Russian.
Yeah. Max Hechinger, I actually think, is the sole redeeming feature of this film. We last saw him in Gladiator 2 because he's having fun. He's having fun, and nobody else is. Nobody else is. And I actually thought that at least like his accent was consistent. And then you have Ariana DeBose, and I didn't realize it was Ariana DeBose until the credits rolled. Academy Award winner. Ariana DeBose, who I love.
Give it back.
She is dreadful in this. She delivers every single sentence like she's reading it for the first time on the page.
Yeah.
It's so monosyllabic, it's so monotone, and the only person giving a worse performance than her is in a flashback sequence. We see her mother, I think it is. And I've never seen an exposition delivered so leadenly. It is one of the worst bits of acting I've ever seen in a film. Astonishing that is in a big budget film that was put out in cinemas, because it is just awful.
Well, that's the problem with all these Sony-verse villain films. It's just absolutely garbled exposition that makes no sense in the context of the world.
Can you tell me what the plot of this film was? Because I have already forgotten.
Okay, so we open in... You do the typical thing where you get a snippet of present day.
Yes.
And Aaron Taylor-Johnson kills this killer villain. Full spoilers. Don't go see this film. I'd avoid it at all costs. So
unless you want a little nap. Because I did find it quite soporific. And I'll tell you, after I woke up from my nap, and I don't think I missed anything important. I only slept for about 7 minutes, I think. I woke up and I thought, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to get through this is if I just allow myself to laugh, because I just felt like I was suppressing all of my rage.
Oh, absolutely.
And so after I woke up, I just thought I'm just going to laugh openly.
No, this is the thing, and this plot is just it's typical nonsense. A terrible thing happens. The kid version of Kraven the Hunter is maimed and attacked by this big lion. We get sent back in time. He gets attacked by this lion. This terrible voodoo African magic, which doesn't get explained.
Quite offensive.
And the comic books, they have their stereotypes, and there's no context to what these characters are, and it's just hidden for future. Calypso is quite a big Spider-Man character, but then...
Oh, really?
I think she sees the future. I think that's what they were trying to go with the tarot cards. Please, Spider-Man and Marvel fans, don't attack me in the comments.
Or / let us know what we've got wrong. I would love to understand this film even a little bit.
And this script is like it was written by a block of Stilton cheese. It's just nonsense. It's worse than AI, because it has... stupid decisions, which I think AI often avoids. Is like it makes really boring but clumsy. Like the Rhino's outfit is just goofy. He wears this tiny backpack, and he walks this dog, and he's supposed to be this menacing, calm but also really aggressive villain. And it's absolute nonsense. And you're right. It's like they picked every Eastern or Russian adjacent character from the Spider-Man comics, the chameleons in this. If you know that character from Spider-Man, and then he gets shoehorned, like his actual character and character design gets shoehorned in the last couple of minutes.
It's awful.
It's not just awful. It is. No, I'm going to admit something. I said Red One was the worst of the year. I said it cannot be dethroned. But you're right. Red One had one redeeming factor. This film is garbage.
I've
It's
just come up
tragic.
with one redeeming factor.
Okay, well, tell me what the hell
The
that
one
is.
redeeming factor, and I did think this when I was watching it, is you know what? They clearly filmed a lot on location. So while Red One is all green screen, in this, sometimes, in fact, often, you look at it and you go, oh, those are real mountains. Like, this is a real forest. It has a little bit, it has a tang of reality to it, which is quite refreshing for this genre.
It does, but you know, I also, from that point, it just reminded me that when I was sat and watching it, I was like, this is really cheap. Because it looks like they've just filmed everything in the UK. And not that that's a bad thing, no, but because you're trying to be this big world-conquering film, you know. He goes to Russia, he goes to Africa.
There's a lot of titles telling you where we are.
And it's nowhere specific, it's just outside London.
Yeah.
What Scotland?
North of Turkey.
Yeah, no, where is that?
Yeah.
But it does feel like, okay, we can film in the UK really cheap. All our like extras and whatever, most of our lead casts are British doing a terrible accent.
Yeah.
With a few Americans, a few, you know, whatever. We can get away with that. It just feels like upstate New York looks like it's probably England.
Yeah, it looks like Egypt.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
And then even Africa kind of looks a bit, and the Russian forest kind of like, doesn't really feel like Siberia or anything.
They've just color graded the sky a little bit so it looks like it's a sunny day.
Slightly more orange in Africa, slightly more blue in Russia. It's just stereotypical, terrible, lazy filmmaking.
Yeah.
The script is awful. One of Craven's first major lines in English is the unseen and untalked about pilot of the and again, female representation in this film is nowhere existent. There's not even a love, like, okay, you think they're going to shoehorn a love story with
Ariana DeBose's
Calypso's character, and you're like, no, she just doesn't do anything.
No,
she has some ex machina moments where I'm like, well, that makes no sense. And there's like 10 villains in this film.
Yeah.
Like B grade, D grade super villains from Spider-Man. And I hate it. You need to have that linchpin. I keep saying it.
Yeah.
The linchpin that Spider-Man, this wonderfully naive, hopeful character, he is the one who has to stand against the corruption of all these villains that are faced. Kraven is corrupted by the greed. Russell Crowe was playing the Kraven of the comics and of wider Spider-Man media.
Right.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was playing just this bland action hero. It doesn't make any sense that these villains sort of exist in a world where that character doesn't exist.
Yes.
And it feels very much Spider-Man doesn't exist. And they're not even fun bad.
No. Don't go and see this thinking it's going to be so bad it's good. Like, I know I said that I was laughing through it, but that was a survival tactic.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That was, you know, you go a bit delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would actually put a sign and say, please avoid this film. Like, just please avoid it, because you don't get anything out of it.
Can I just tell you some things that really annoy me?
Yes.
Because there are just lists in my head right now. So they use a bunch of stock footage multiple times. Okay, they use a shot of the London skyline with the Shard that is also the opening shot of the Star Beast, last year's episode of Doctor Who. Yeah. And they use the same bit of stock footage of London Bridge, which is also in Doctor Who, 5 seconds later in the Doctor episode, about half an hour later in the film, and they've just like tweaked the color grade so it looks like a different day. But it just looks cheap and it looks lazy and it looks like stock footage, because I don't know if they actually shot any exteriors in London, but it sort of feels like one of those ones where they've put some red buses in places so that we think we're seeing London, but actually we're not. To me, like, in many ways, that felt like the epitome of the film, in that it just felt lazy and cheap. We're not actually in London. We're using a bit of stock footage. We're reusing the same stock footage twice because we just don't care. And then there's stuff like, you talked about Chameleon, who is this character, his brother, and the whole shtick basically for this character is all the way through the film, he's imitating people and he's doing their accent. But the problem is that they literally just dub in.
Yeah.
So he impersonates his dad, who is Russell Crowe, a lot. And they just get Russell Crowe to dub in those lines. The disrespect from the audience, just like using the stock footage and reusing it, and like just
there's a sound effect they use. Did you notice during all the Kraven, I'm turning into an animal, they use this twinkly sound effect that is the stock twinkly, Final Cut, Adobe Premiere stock, mystical background noise, and I was listening like, how cheap? Who got paid to edit this trash? It's absolute
lazy.
Garbage.
It's lazy. I really, truly felt like the film and the distributors and the studio just didn't care about me.
Sony just gave up.
Yeah.
You know, this is embarrassing. This movie is embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. But that's really, I think, the fundamental crux of it, isn't it? Is, you know, at the end of this, hopefully lessons have been learned.
Absolutely.
Right? Sony aren't making any more spunk films. Aaron Taylor-Johnson is hopefully going to go on and do something cool and creative and maybe Bondy. JC Chandor, hopefully this has opened some doors for him.
Maybe
and we
he's
can
got a good
all
paycheck.
just imagine that this was a horrible dream.
Now, with great power comes great responsibility, and you have a responsibility not to see this film.